another edition of the movie commentary. Today's movie is Jaws by Steven Spielberg, who, you could argue is the most influential. Well, all right. A lot of people say he's the most influential filmmaker to ever live. That is debatable, but nonetheless, that is the reputation he has. For many people, he is film, and he is probably American film. Uh, that much is true. He is a quote from a guy who wrote a book about Christopher Nolan and a book defending the blockbuster, the concept of the blockbuster. That cinema, no one has practiced cinema better than Spielberg has over the past 40 years. No one has. You put it basically. Um, Film, how do I put it? With Spielberg's work, film has been no one has made film its own thing more than Spielberg, or no one has. I'm too lazy to pull up the quote, but film is at its best with Spielberg. That's how you can see Spielberg's work. You know what? I'll look it up. Which but he has as I'm finding it, basically he no one has defined what a movie is, I think, more than Spielberg. I'll say that much. uh I think it is arguable. I think I do kind of agree with the idea that uh you know no one no one is influencing the idea of what a movie is more than Spielberg. uh the Marvel movies are a direct legacy of Spielberg's early work. I think very much so. Let me find this what he said. Yeah, Tom Schoen says if you have to point to any of the one director of the last 25 years and whose work the medium of film was most fully itself, it has to be that guy. Where we found out what it does best when left to its own devices. That's a really interesting quote because it does sort of speak to a separation of film from other art forms like theater and like literature, which is interesting because a lot of Spielberg stuff and his children's stuff, the metaphorical children, it gets a lot of shit for being separate from literature and the theater. Uh, that it's its own shitty thing. It's just entertainment without like film is just entertainment without drama and without literature, which is interesting. Um, But I think I'll get more into that whole how we define what a film is in the actual commentary. This is just the intro. So without further ado, enjoy my commentary hopefully on Jaws, the film that started the summer blockbuster. Enjoy. Alrighty, here we go. I'm hitting play right now in Jaws. Play is about to be hit. Play has been hit. I'm gonna actually mute the film because I was listening to prior commentaries. I've been doing it. I've been doing these in 25-minute bursts, at least for now, because of school. But I can hear too much of the movie. Like with the Batman Begins commentary, there's just way too much of Batman Begins audio in it. I might do this. I might louder just a little bit so I can hear it. So let me. Uh, as I was saying in the intro, uh, you're just at the credits now. Uh, yeah, Spielberg's idea of film is basically our culture's definition of what a film is. It's this idea that a film is this place that you can escape to, that can thrill you, which it's like that last part comes from Hitchcock probably, but it's the escapist thing. That's Spielberg. Uh, with Kurosawa's movies, for example, or Fellini or De Sica. I don't I don't know if the point of those films is to escape. It's to confront our world, not to escape it. Uh, so that's one thing. This movie, Jaws, there's another I want to comment on too. Uh, it's what's called high concept, if that makes sense. It's again, it's removed from reality, and it's just it's kind of hard to define. Jaws is a high concept film. A fucking shark attacks people. Uh, Jurassic Park, sharks come back. Sharks, dinosaurs come back. Inception, what if you could steal dreams? Or what if you could invade people's dreams? That kind of thing. And Jaws is really where that tradition starts. It was in B movies before. That's the thing. This is a huge part of the B movie, A movie switch. Uh, which is why Spielberg gets a lot of hate. Like Terminator, perfect high concept B movie. That's as good as an A movie though. So forgive me if you will too. I have bad allergies today. Itchy nose. Uh, so yeah, that's I'll comment more on that. Here's the thing with Spielberg though, he's a very nice guy, of course, and he's just so wonderful to listen to talk about how he sees film. I've listened to a lot of interviews with him lately. There's an interview with him and J.J. Abrams and James Cameron, who again are some of his most famous quote unquote children, who have used what Spielberg has put out there and made it their own in a way. Um, well, anyway, he's a great filmmaker too. That's I think. Well, I think it's kind of undeniable. I think there really is no one who knows how to move a camera better than Spielberg. You learn so much by watching his movies. So we're at the part with sharks about to attack. Yeah, here we go. And yeah, so Jaws, it's really interesting from a genre perspective. It's really hard to sort of classify what it actually is. I have it pegged as a sort of adventure horror thriller, interestingly enough, or probably adventure horror. And it goes from horror to adventure at the midpoint of the movie, which is interesting. So, there's an interesting comment too I read on Reddit the other day. I think it was yesterday. How there's nice Spielberg and nasty Spielberg. Like E.T.'s nice Spielberg, but Jaws is nasty. Which I think, like David Fincher loves. Uh, he loves this movie, Jaws. And I think you see that in his films, that influence. Uh, I'm trying to find the words for that, but I think you really, again, I see a lot of, Fincher in Jaws, which is funny because there was an old YouTube video comparing Spielberg to Fincher, and a lot of people didn't like it because it felt dumb. It felt not true, especially because Spielberg is known as Mr. Innocent, Mr. Make You Feel Good, and Fincher is like the opposite. But I'm like, yeah, it's probably true. But you know, then when I think about Jaws, it's like, oh, that's a clear influence. That's a clear line to Fincher. Like this voyeuristic love of horrible things happening, which itself is the legacy of Hitchcock. So I did grow up watching this movie a little bit. I certainly grew up with it more than Jurassic Park, which is funny because I don't remember any of this. So that's kind of weird. And I think I saw Jaws 2 first. That's really weird. I don't know. Uh, I can't remember if I saw Jaws 2 or 1 first. But yeah, so again, there's a big narrative that Jaws invents a summer blockbuster. Like it's the legacy, its legacy is Inception, uh, Terminator, Bat. Well, I think like the superhero stuff that actually might owe more to Star Wars, like this love of an epic mythology. That's Star Wars, I think, not Spielberg. And I guess Raiders too, but I actually don't really like Raiders of the Lost Ark that much, which I could explain maybe later. I just don't. I think it's very simple, like overly simple, and I miss the whole good and evil aspect of Star Wars. Uh, but visually, I think a lot of visually the superhero stuff it does owe a lot to how Spielberg moved the camera in Raiders, so that's interesting to note. And it's definitely a much better directed movie than Star Wars. Like I said, I think I said it in the Star Wars commentary. I don't think George Lucas is that great of a director, but Spielberg absolutely is he's an amazing director. Like he just moves the camera so naturally. It's wild to watch. Like I was watching bits of this movie later bits of this movie a few months ago, and it's just wild to see how he moves the camera so naturally, and how he blocks the actor so naturally, and that kind of thing. And now to get to the narrative of did Jaws ruin Hollywood? Well, the criticism it made Hollywood simpler and it made the audience simpler. I was just on the screenwriting Reddit, and it's kind of corny. Logline Monday. I don't like stuff like Wings Wednesday. Don't like stuff like that. I don't know. It's just kind of corny. But it was all like if you check all the stuff that's pitched there on that sub, it's all like high concept stuff. It's like thrillers and horrors and sci-fi thrillers. And it's just that's the legacy of Jaws. It's imaginative stuff that thrills you. That's Jaws, basically. Simple, imaginative stuff that thrills you. So if there's a robot loose trying to kill people, that's Jaws. Uh, in fact, I guess I could actually pull it because it's just wild to see the film's influence. That is, yeah. It again, like I said, it changed how people see a movie. Um, the movie structure, by the way, is also crystal clear. Uh, for some stupid reason, my screenwriting professor in college showed us Apocalypse Now, and I forget what else. Beasts of No Nation as examples of structure. I think that's really silly. And I was asking Redman, like, what would a good example of structure be? And he said, oh, Jaws, right? And yeah, Jaws and Casablanca would be my two picks. I wonder if even like It's a Wonderful Life probably fits too. Who Spielberg loves, by the way. I think he said he watches Searchers before every movie. I see a lot of Stagecoach from Ford in his style, and yeah, he says he watches It's a Wonderful Life in Casablanca, which makes a lot of sense. I love because he is a really diverse filmmaker, but that's its own point I'll talk about later. But it is interesting he went from again these simple high concept movies to like Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan, and that's its own debate of the merits of those movies. Because some people still say those are too like David Mamet says those movies are too way too simple compared to like what drama can be, basically. But anyway, there's also an interesting narrative that this movie is about Watergate in a way. It's about the ordinary man trying to make sense of scary shit, basically. And that's the Spielberg. Like that's one big separation between Spielberg and Lucas. Luke is done in every yeah, no, Luke is done in every man. His father's a Jedi. He knows Obi-Wan, a great Jedi. Uh, with Spielberg, like you see this in Jaws, Jurassic Park. You know, Close Encounters, E.T., and even Indiana Jones in a way. They're everyman. They could be anyone, and they really could be everyone. Because even like Bruce Wayne and Peter Parker, that's not just anyone. That is they're heroes. They're these big mythic things, and Sheriff, you know, what is it, Chief Brody? I think his name is. He's in there. He can be anyone, so that's interesting. Like if you were trying to replicate Jaws, you have to make the movie about everyone. That this could happen to literally anyone, and that's it. So that's interesting. There's also a lot of directing wise. There's a lot of medium shots like Ford would use, which is just because again, as I said before, we're so stuck to the gills with close up, close up, close up, close up that it's cool to see filmmaking like this. But this is a very Ford shot because Ford he like would keep everything in one frame. Part of that actually Spielberg talked about in an interview I was watching yesterday. Ford would do that to protect himself from editing, where you can't see that's cool. He went from a medium shot to a medium close up with these two characters in one shot. But he would do it so the studio couldn't edit his fucking movie. So that's interesting. And again, the thing too with thrillers that's good to mention is that they're very, very tightly structured. See what's funny to this scene with the little boy. I thought that was later in the movie, but it's just 10 minutes in, 14 minutes in. I actually my screen professor showed this in a class to break down what suspense is, which is cool. It's just again, I don't know why he didn't show us the whole, break down the whole movie as an example of structure. I'm pulling up the log line stuff on Reddit. Yeah, look. So here's one movie, a horror movie about a homeless veteran breaking into an abandoned house with an evil spirit from his past. He's trapped inside with a local police officer in a blizzard. He must now fight to save both their lives. That's a very simple thriller horror movie. That's the legacy of Jaws and I guess Hitchcock. But it's because Hitchcock, I think his movies are, I don't know, you could argue they're a little bit more complicated, maybe. I don't know. Because Hitchcock never, I haven't read anything where he gets mentioned as simplifying cinema and, infantilizing the audience. But Spielberg gets it all the time. And I guess, yeah, is a Rear Window a more complicated movie than Jaws? I'd say so. Vertigo certainly is. North by Northwest, I don't know. Psycho, I probably a little more complicated. And that one's a straight horror, unlike Vertigo and Rear Window. Those are thrillers. But even Vertigo is almost like more of a dreamy mystery. It's that's not as thrilling, quote unquote, as Rear Window or North by Northwest. And it's kind of a cool idea that it's the sheriff who doesn't like going in the water, or chief who doesn't like going in the water. This is also I read too. This movie's in a way a western with Chief Brody as the sheriff. And that I think is a very helpful way of thinking about the movie. That it is a very simple good and evil Western narrative. And I guess the shark is the outlaw, which I should mention too. Having a monster in your fantasy or any movie really helps lighten it up. Uh, like it's a lot lighter having a shark or a troll or a goblin or a ghost as a villain than having a real actual person. You know, uh, yeah, because it's fucking. I don't know. There's something really horrifying about. Oh, it's a human being could be a monster. You know, that's horrifying. But if it's an actual, it's a shark. It's like, oh, cool. It's like gives you this separation. That's interesting. Um, you know, it's definitely something if you're rating a light fantasy adventure or a light adventure story. It's very recommended to make the villain, um, a monster basically. I love that dolly shot too. The way you do it is you move in. I forget how it is. It's like you move in while pulling out. Like you move the camera in on someone as you're zooming out. It gives a really interesting, you shot. It gives you a really interesting feeling. See, here's another one from the fucking Reddit. After delivering a mythical artifact that introduces telepathic powers, a loner bike courier discovers a plot to destroy his hometown and join forces with a street gang to defeat the secret society behind it. That's Spielberg in a way. I mean, that's also comic books, I guess. But that's the idea is Spielberg took the simplicity of those children's stories and brought them to cinema, which at the time was trying to grow up with the works of Coppola, Scorsese, and bringing in the ideas of David Lean and Ford, and especially the Italians, the Europeans. So you know, yeah, I don't know, it's interesting to know, and it's interesting to note that later on, Spielberg did graduate to someone making quote unquote serious films like Schindler's List and like Saving Private Ryan, which are, I think, defining sort of classic movies that are trying to be very important and say important things. So even that again is up for debate because I'll get into that in a few. Let's watch the movie. Let's watch the movie. But again, that the simplicity of those movies that they bring good and evil to the real world, that's very debated. So little boy has just been killed. So in terms of screenwriting structure, this is called debate. That's right from fucking Save the Cat. It's like, all right, do we do something now? Do we go on this adventure that the movie will become about? That the movie will be about? Will we try to fight the shark? That's debate. It's funny too. Jaws and Close Encounters, which I still have yet to see in full. But I guess even ET, it's this idea of like the one sane man, which I just realized that's kind of interesting. You know, like, oh, we can't close the beaches, and it's like, yeah, we probably should close the fucking beaches. This is I wonder where he ranks in the canon of great American film characters. Quint, I think his name is. As a kid, I loved his character. Yeah, and there's a bit of Captain Ahab from Moby Dick in him. That's worth pointing out for sure too. I love the whole. Again, this is all one shot. It goes from a big, medium wide shot probably, and you zoom right in. You know, you take like a full 40 seconds, maybe 30 seconds moving in on this guy. Now, that's from a writer's perspective. Just to say, this is very simple stuff. It's just, there's a fucking shark. What do we do about it? That's basically the movie up to this point. Like, it's really fucking simple. Like, there's no real big ideas that work, at least just yet, and maybe not in the whole movie. But, you know, there's a shark. What do we do? Horror works the same way. There's a ghost. What do we do? It can work that way. They can be more complicated too, but a horror movie can absolutely just be there's a fucking thing trying to kill people. What do we do? It's also interesting to consider how not supernatural the shark is. That's another interesting thing to think about a lot with this movie. Uh, it's tactic. I don't know. It's weird. It is a really big break of reality to have a killer shark. That puts it in the fantasy category, but there's some very primal about that you don't get with something more fantastical. Like it's the least fantastical you could be with this plot element of a killer shark. You know, you could have it being an escaped creature from a lab or an escaped creature from ancient times. And that's all. But those would be clearly made up things. But a killer shark is pretty simple to get, I'd say. And it's funny, there's a lack of grittiness in the movie too. That's interesting because a lot of horror is really like in your face, gory and gross and horrifying. But Spielberg never does that, never, which is really interesting too. Again, that's why the movie's really interesting to me. It's like it's so many contradictions in one movie. That again has become to define what a blockbuster is. And I think I said this too because I think you have your big four filmmakers: Spielberg, Coppola, Lucas, Scorsese. A lot of movies are represented in that category. There's a few that aren't. Like again, like mom movies, like the rom coms, romantic dramas. That isn't really. Coppola did those. He did those kind of movies, and he did dad movies. These like contemporary smallish dramas, basically. That is really represented by like The Godfather, Jaws, or you know Star Wars and Taxi Driver. So anyway, but yeah, during the Coppola, where he was working for hire, he very much did those movies in the '80s. Spielberg never did though. Lucas didn't. Scorsese didn't. Like you would never find those three dudes making a movie like The Notebook or Wedding Crashers. Coppola did though. He did stuff like that. So full disclosure, I'm actually I'm doing this recording 2 months later, basically, which I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, here we are. School got busy. I'll tell you more later. I also apparently stopped right in the middle of a scene. So um I also didn't really listen to it back in the podcast when I talked about before. So if I repeat stuff, I'm sorry. In the bottom of my heart. But something I can't recall, but if I did again, sorry. But the thing with Jaws, it's two genres, I think. It's adventure horror. The first half of the movie is horror, the second half is adventure. And I think there's a lot to be said about how those genres are similar and different and that kind of thing.
So her friends are full of fake. That's not funny. That's not funny at all. Mrs. Kidner must have put her
I think I did talk a little bit about, maybe I didn't, but I think there's a really heavy John Ford influence in this movie that isn't really talked about, especially in the framing. Uh,
Hello.
that I think does kind of disappear with Spielberg's later films, maybe. But I think it's definitely more like to me the influence is more clear in this than like Indiana Jones, for example, or any of the Spielberg acolytes that came out following this movie, his later movies.
So spell that. Officer, wait a second. Just
I do think the trio of main characters here, the sheriff, the scientist, and the crazy sea captain, it's really good. Anyway, the John Ford stuff, it's a lot of medium frame. There's more cuts here, I gotta say. But I don't know. It's I mean I've complained about it before, but like the medium shot is kind of dead. Or at least the love of it is. So, because again, if you watch older movies, a lot of them are just medium shots, and you move the camera around. You don't. Now it's just closer, 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 close up. So, and you see that a little bit with Spielberg here, but like right now, it's a two shot, and then there's it's like just right now at almost 30 minutes. We're doing a two shot turned into a three shot, but there's still cuts. We're staying here for a little bit.
Matt Hooper, I'm from the Oceanographic Institute.
We're staying in this shot.
I'm Brody. Oh, I'm very glad to meet you.
Yeah, see, the characters like happy to see each other. That's kind of interesting.
Well, I think the best thing.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm talking about this stuff too, and it's from just an overall film perspective, a screenwriting perspective, and a filmmaking perspective. So, or like the directing of it. So, but yeah, adventure horror, and I don't know, also western. Like there's some about a community coming together to fight a great evil. And that's not horror. Like to me, horror is like claustrophobic, and I don't know. There's a menace to it. I mean, again, I guess that's the success of the movie. It's many things to many different people. Like this is one of David Fincher's favorite movies, and I can see how. I don't know. He's a weird one too. Like he likes The Exorcist. He likes Halloween. He actually has a level of horror that I think you see in some of his movies, like Zodiac, Seven, especially Seven. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Like the way he handles his, detective mystery stuff. There's a hard edge that comes from horror. Like even Gone Girl.
There are no major organs remaining. The eye because of Right arm has been
This is a
severed
cool
above
scene.
the elbow,
Dissection of
with massive tissue loss in the upper musculature.
the shark.
Partially denuded bone remaining. This was no boat accident. Did you notify the
I like how he's really freaked out, and it really sells how fucking scary this is. Like I saw a video once breaking down,
left arm?
of course, the Avengers
And portions of the rib
and
cage.
how
Not smoking here.
how important reactions are almost more than the event happening,
This is what happened.
which I think also horror really gets. Like so much of what makes horror is how the characters react to the horror. It was something like with the fucking snap and Infinity War. You know, the snap happens and everyone's horrified and scared and sad, and that's part of what sells that, you know, which I guess you don't really think of. I mean, it's true. I didn't really, it didn't frame that for me, which is kind of cool. First of all, I am an admit. I don't know. Oh, I'm sure there's a reason why, but admittedly, I'm in more of a blockbuster mood lately. And since this is the goddaddy of the blockbuster, which I got into a bit of a argument with my parents, a debate, if you will, my stepmother and father, because it's its own thing. But it's this is the blockbuster. This is the stuff. Their argument was like, oh, well, what about like Sound of Music or Gone with the Wind or Wizard of Oz? But blockbuster implies it's action. It implies action these days, which in that respect you could argue like Bond is a blockbuster, and that does predate Jaws by like 13 years. But this again because it dilutes the achievement of Spielberg by saying, "Oh, you didn't invent the block." Like the whole reason this movie is relevant is that it created the blockbusters today. In a way that again, Sound of Music didn't, Wizard of Oz didn't. Like there's influences, but by and large, the blockbuster it starts here. Especially again, the blockbusters we understand today. Simple subject matter, lovable characters, lots of action. That's that's yours. Also, I think I mentioned this before. I think I did talk about this, but there's some like again for all the influence this movie has had, at least on like sci-fi fantasy films. Because this is technically a fantasy film. It's a killer shark. It's also like it's kind of how horror is connected to fantasy. But it's like in some of Indiana Jones, funnily enough. But you know, but there's some really primal about a killer shark. It's like it's hard to replicate that, even horror, sci-fi, fantasy. It's like one of those real, like, same with Jurassic Park. It's just one of those like so again. I have a great friend, Garrett, and and you see this with a lot of writers. Like he doesn't like sharing ideas because he feels like the idea is the movie, and for the most part, I think it's bullshit. But with Jaws and like Jurassic Park and stuff like that, like I can see the point. Like it's called. I mean, it is called. It's called high concept. It's not like Die Hard is high concept. Kinda. It's kind of a hard thing. I've seen that word used more. You know, um, misused or used too generally. Like Inception's high concept. Like the Dark Knight is like Batman's not high concept. Inception is. It's got to be able. It's you got to describe in a sentence. So Inception is dream thieves, killer shark, dinosaurs return. So in fact, I guess I could Google that because again, high concept stuff begins with Jaws. Like Wizard of Oz is not high concept. Sound of Music is not high concept. Gone with the Wind is not high concept. Little Mermaid, a lot of the Pixar films is not high concept.
But a girl got killed here this week. You knew it.
In fact, there's a lot of articles breaking this down, actually, interestingly enough, which I didn't know about.
You knew it was dangerous. Swimming anyway.
Like the Hunger Games, I don't think is high concept.
You knew all those things. Still, my boy is dead.
Oh, okay, here's Groundhog Day, Ghostbusters. I guess Die Hard is included.
My boy is dead. I wanted you to know that.
I'm sorry.
So I don't know. I sympathize with people who think, oh, it's all in the idea. I really get it. But I don't know. Well, sometimes, I don't know. I don't know. I am a kind of a believer, again, in screenwriting terms, it's called the log line. That is important. And someone, which I like, I like. Someone finally called someone out on the screenwriting subreddit for the poster said something like, you gotta understand that again, a lot of people post they're posting log lines for movies that just aren't interesting. Maybe I don't know, maybe. Because the thing is too much high concept stuff. And it's like where's the depth? So thrillers are high concept. Like Rear Window is high concept. I mean, again, I think that's the thing. I think I might have talked about that in the first 25 minutes of the movie, but a lot of the discourse around the death of cinema, you probably could trace to Alfred Hitchcock and his love of high concept storytelling. You know, I mean, Coppola actually did mention that. America's Lost Auteur, which I think I'll talk about more in the Godfather review or commentary. But you know, um, it. He said he didn't really respond to Hitchcock. He felt it was very surface level, and it's true because after watching the conversation, it feels more like a Tennessee Williams, like the way he interrogates the characters is like a play, like Streetcar Named Desire, anything Tennessee Williams, because Coppola loved Tennessee Williams. Like there's a scene in that movie that's like 20 minutes, like totally uncut. It's just he just lets it play. So, um, you know, but yeah, Hitchcock is high concept, so surface level. Scorsese actually did him. He said, maybe Hitchcock was our franchise. So that's interesting. But again, he still worships him. And I don't know. We could argue Vertigo is the biggest break from the blockbuster formula. Psycho isn't. That's a proto blockbuster. So is North by Northwest. Rear Window is proto blockbuster, but Vertigo is a lot stranger. That is quote unquote more art house. We'll probably talk about the screenwriting structure soon. I just don't want to yet.
Put that way, but yes, I am.
But
You
but I mean, all right. To briefly, because I want to look at the outline. I guess I'll pull it up now. Wikipedia. It's a shame too. I missed this movie in theaters. They brought it back a few months ago along with ET, and I didn't watch it in theaters. Thriller, I'll mention this too later. Thrillers have a lot in common with action adventure stuff, and that's a Hitchcock connection. But because Jaws is labeled as a thriller on Wikipedia, but so the movie you could argue it goes from horror to adventure at the midpoint, which is what they go off to fight the shark. There's something too victorious about and triumphant about going up to fight the shark. It's that's not horror. Horror is terror. It's loss. It's even like screenwriter C. Robert Cargill said was a very open screenwriter and talks about the craft a lot. He said horror is one of the few genres that let you have a negative ending. It's also why crime is popular too. It's a depressing drama is a lot less palpable than a depressing crime thriller or whatever. Yeah, they work the same way tragedies often do. Like I'm talking classical Greek stuff. So that's interesting.
Browning. Listen, is it true that most people get attacked by sharks? Yeah.
I wonder how loud this is showing up on the audio. If it's showing up on you know, what if it's showing up on my audio?
It's called territoriality. This theory.
This is a great scene. Yeah, this is cool. Well, it has accomplished something. I don't know. It's good. That's creative. There's a goal now. It's like, all right, we think we caught the shark, but we didn't. That's kind of creative. But all right, I guess I'll talk about it in a few. But there's this idea of when you're writing a script, you want it to have forward momentum at all times. So, and I think I know this. What's it called? The false goal. It's called. It's like where you think you solved the movie's problem, but you didn't. Like the movie's problem is the killer shark. You think you solved it. You didn't. In fact, I have to imagine. I think that is common with thrillers and mysteries. So in a thriller, you got away from the guy trying to kill you, or in the mystery, you thought you solved the crime, but you didn't. So, and the thing with mysteries too, just a totally kind of a side note. A thriller is usually a mystery from the victim's perspective. So if there's a crime and there's a detective, the mystery genre is from the detective's angle, and then the thriller angles from the victim and or the perpetrator's perspective. So that's, I think, interesting. I think with thrillers too, they're so intense and depressing. I don't know. I don't know how Fincher does that for 6 months, or any screenwriter does that for 6 months.
The territoriality at all. Got a good chance of spotting him between Cape Scott and South Beach.
I don't know.
Gotta find him right now. He's a night feeder. On the water? If you're looking for a shark, we're not gonna find him on the land. Yeah, but I'm not going to let the ground go. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Yes, you can.
This is cool. I like the encouragement. I don't know. There's some again. It's very adventurous. They're going on an adventure to fight the shark. That's not horror. Horror is like to me, it's like a punch in the like. Look at, I mean, Sinister. See, Robert Cargill did right. It's just punch in the face after punch in the face. It's just obliteration. Hereditary is that. Midsummer is that. Both like in the art house stuff and the pulpy, like Saw is that too. You know, I don't know. I don't think it's a scary fucking movie. Like you could Google that debate. That's a debate that's had, but it's debate had, and you look at the comments on any website, and it's always like, oh, it's hard. But I don't know. I don't think it is. It's too fun. It makes you feel too good. Horror. I mean, look, if it was horror, all these characters would be dead. Everyone. The mayor would be dead. The three goons would be dead. one of them might survive, like in Halloween. You know, Quint dies. I think that is his name, but it's like it's too triumphant. It's I don't know. I think I remember it being too triumphant. I don't know. But again, part of the success of the movie is how it mixes both genres incredibly well. I might write off some facts too later because I'm on the Wikipedia page for them and I think they're interesting. The guy who produced it. Oh yeah, one fun fact number one. One of the guys who helps.
That's Ben Gardner's film. I'm sure I know this.
Wow. See, yeah, this guy Matthew Robbins. He's old. And well, he works with Del Toro now. Well, Guillermo Del Toro, which is you know, that's impressive. In fact, he just worked together on Pinocchio, which is interesting. And Brad Bird, his first script, he worked with Batteries Not Included, apparently, which was a Matthew Robbins directed movie. So
What am I supposed to do like a gun?
yeah, he did uncredited rewrites on Jaws and I guess Close Encounters, but he is credited with well, his Spielberg did the Sugarland Express, which is a very different movie from what I understand from everything else he ever did. Um, yeah, it's a crime drama. So it follows a woman and her husband as they take a police officer hostage and flee across Texas while they try to get their child before he's placed in foster care. Um, you know, that's just a very different kind of movie. I thought it was more Coen Brothers, but that's a clear betray. It's a clear, you know, the Coen Brothers are fucking weird. They do some kind of weird black comedy satire thing combined it with crime stuff, but this is a great crime stuff story, and it is based on something that actually happened. Then, but yeah, this is his first movie. Well, his first theatrical movie. He was doing television, and his first movie is this movie called Duel, which is it's actually Jaws. It's literally Jaws. It's and it's almost a shittier version, at least just from the pure concept. It centers on a business commuter driving his car to California, and he's menaced and terrorized by a guy in a semi truck. It's from Richard Matheson, though, which is he in many ways is a mentor, along with Ray Bradbury, of Stephen King, who has his own connections to the blockbuster boom that we've been in for 40 years. Like this could have been a fucking Stephen King book. This concept. Like Christine has a similar energy. I think just again just on a pure concept level. A fucking evil car. You know?
What was the picture? Someone picture of a shark. I don't know. They call it Coast Guard.
This is talk about this later too, because I'm getting ready to pause it to go eat dinner. But I think I'm gonna finish this tonight. I think I will finish the commentary. Maybe.
We have to close the beaches. Brody, sick vandalism. That is a deliberate mutilation of a public service message. Now, I want those little paint-happy bastards caught and hung up by their Buster Browns. That's it. Fine. I'm not going to waste my time arguing with the man who's lining up to be a hot lunch. I'm going to see all this. So, he's not. Mr. Vaughn, what we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine. It's really a miracle of evolution. All this machine does is swim and eat. And
Also, just fun fact: sharks are not like this evil, and Spielberg apparently does regret his role in giving them that portrayal of them being an inherently evil animal.
August. For Christ's sake, tomorrow's the 4th of July, and we will be open for business.
There's a fun narrative that this is a
How do you fellas concerned about beaches? Whatever you have to make them safe.
it's a response to Watergate. Which is funny because I've had this thought before, and I've seen someone else actually have this thought on Reddit 18 months ago. And it's a common thought in general, like Watergate, like not only did it ruin us, but to be more objective, it is like the before and after. It is a before and after in terms of America's attitude to everything, I guess. Well, not Vietnam. Like if you're to all right, so if you're to break down American history, you got again after the Second World War, it's 1945, 1975. 1975 to 2001. Maybe. Because I've seen people argue the Reagan era still continues even after 9/11. And my political science professor, he did say, like, the Reagan era comes to an end in 2016 with Trump. So we're 6 years removed from that. So, but I mean, yeah, like this idea of being cynical about everything in the real world. That's a Watergate thing. It's a Vietnam War too thing. It's I've seen it argued. I've seen it before, like JFK dying, getting murdered, which is kind of he was murdered, which is kind of a crazy thing. The frame, it's all assassin, like it's murdered too. That is also part of that was America's loss of innocence in a way. So, and all of a sudden, I think that's it. He covered both. He covered he covered a conspiracy theory of JFK, and then I mean, at least 17 parts of it. It's pretty okay, but could have been better movie on Watergate. That also is apparently it is a sum up of Nixon's whole career, like Citizen Kane style. But I don't know. Part of me would love to do a Nixon or Watergate thing, either a movie or a play, or it's just popular today, a mini series. HBO's actually doing one, which good on them. I don't know. They didn't steal the idea, obviously, but literally the week I found out it was going to be a thing, I had the thought of like, oh, it would be interesting to see Watergate from the perspective of the guys who did Watergate, like who literally the ground level dudes who did Watergate. The men who did Nixon's bidding, which I mean, all the President's Men, which is another Fincher favorite that did cover. So that's interesting. Soderbergh loves that movie too. That should be said. But yeah, look, if we could have 10 movies about Spider-Man, we could have 10 movies about Watergate, you know. Like, why not? Or Nixon. Like, why not do both the Watergate drama and, the life perspective of Nixon? Why? Again, we do it with Spider-Man. We do it with Star Wars. Like, there was I had one idea to do. Well, there was two Nixon ideas actually. One was, well, three actually. The original was, covering the last days of Nixon, like a play, literally like the last 2 days he had in office. Another idea was to fictionalize. I was gonna probably invent it, Citizen Kane style. Uh, an ex-president who's corrupts basically a new president, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then the final idea was, well, what I mean, look, you can just do it straight too. Nixon visited the White House a few times, and there's a great photo of him in the White House with Clinton. 20 years after he was removed, basically. But the final idea was covering his funeral, where you had literally, you had Reagan, Jimmy Carter, Clinton, H.W. Bush, all in the same room, and that would just be a cool way to discuss America's legacy. I thought that was a pretty good idea. So I haven't thought about it in a while, but I gotta say, yeah, I would have been a play. Dog and play movie. They, you know, it's kind of the same thing in a way.
I'm pleased and happy to repeat the news that we have in fact caught and killed a large predator that supposedly injured some bathers. But as you see, it's a beautiful day. The beaches are open.
So this is the Nixon. This is the Nixon character. He's a public official lying. That's a big thing.
Right, spin it, Jack. Red one. Mark,
Thing is where the scene where they just find someone dead. They don't even show the murder. Well, should be this become a franchise. There's four of these. There's three more of these after there's Jaws 4, The Revenge, which apparently is one of the worst films ever made. It's kind of funny. Once again, this is I don't even know when I recorded last. I think it was last week though. It's pretty recent. I left off at the part with uh everyone's running up the beaches. It was an article. I was watching the Rewatchables lately. It's a podcast from Bill Simmons, covers sports, which I've also gotten back into. But they call this like the perfect movie in a sense. I think Tarantino said the same thing. because it has all the elements of a certain kind of thing, certain kind of movie. This is a cool book because I think this is when it hits home. I think the kids is sheriff's kids getting. It's funny that again. I think I said this in the last one. This is basically a western to a degree. And yeah, again, the main character is the sheriff. He's like in High Noon, like Gary Cooper. And the article, I think, is from The Ringer, which is owned by Bill Simmons. Um, he mentioned this being it's about not trusting institutions anymore. And they can water you. Which I might have actually spoken about earlier, but yeah. I think I might have mentioned this before too. Um, yeah, it's a tough premise to recreate. Like if I were to create, you know, the realms of sci-fi and fantasy, recreate the effect of Jaws more than you could. Like if you picked a bear attack, that wouldn't work that much. I don't think. Like the Terminator, I think, is a really close. Well, there's differences there, but something like Terminator comes closer to what Jaws is after it's sci-fi. Or even just a smaller action, sci-fi action film. I think probably comes close. Not just action, but good sci-fi action. I guess his Terminator, he's it's a slasher, right? It's the character is being chased by something. In an action movie, it's like the opposite. In fact, the Terminator is the main character in a traditional action movie. This is a cool shot. Yeah, again, a lot of this stuff is also, I think, you find in Hitchcock, the concerns of this movie. So again, in a way, you could blame Hitchcock for ruining cinema. At least the definition Scorsese has, which again, Scorsese loves Hitchcock, so it's like weird. It's like, again, there's a Hitchcock quote where it's like life of what's it called? Some people make slices of life movies, I make slices of cake. Again, it's an appeal to sugar and escapism and that kind of thing and fun. Yeah, I've been watching this movie. I don't know, I've had this movie on my mind a lot lately. Uh just trying to almost cut like, okay, why is it so, you know, what's been taken from this? Like, well, I think Lost in a way takes a lot from. I mean, J.J. Abrams in general takes a lot from Spielberg, but this idea of everyman confronting the unnatural. I mean, I think that's hard. Stephen King, especially. Yeah.
Sign this voucher so I can hire a contractor. I don't know if I can do that without. I'm gonna hire Quint to kill the shark.
This is a cool seed. Yeah, the character stuff is really good.
Summer's over. You're the mayor of Shark City. These people think you want the beaches open. I was.
Kind of guilty here. Wow.
Pay that guy what he wants.
Oh yeah, so this is the Nixon villain. He's the establishment that you can't trust anymore. That doesn't care about you. Yeah, the article was mentioning from the Ringer that this movie's actually closer to Godfather than Star Wars because those are seen as again the two things that murdered again serious cinema. And now this is the moment where it becomes it's an adventure movie. Again, it's traditional horror movie. The shark eats all these fucking people, but now they're gonna fight the evil. I would love to know how this movie would work if the fucking shark killed everyone. It definitely wouldn't be seen in the same light. I guess that's also a connection that has to Halloween. You know, Halloween's more brutal, but Jamie Lee Curtis's character still beats Laurie Strode still beats Michael Myers. That's what I was getting into a bit a few months ago. Michael Myers and the David Gordon Green movies, which is wild that he went into tar movies, but he did. Very diverse director. This is a cool shot. Totally looking up at the ceiling like an Orson Welles kind of thing. Low angle shot. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I guess the reason you study this movie too is the directing, because again, it's so world class. I'm not even really paying attention much to the screenplay. This is a cool zoom in. I don't know. It's what a natural. Hitchcock said, I might have said this in one of the earlier commentaries. Some of the effect of Hitchcock said Spielberg's the first director to not see film like a theater. So the way he's moving the camera is not like how a theater person would direct it. The camera moves around a lot more.
Class hero crap. You know how to do this for the ship, right?
I don't know why that doesn't go on.
My buddy, it's my job.
Just to make sure it's done.
It's my best. You're on board my best. Hey, master.
Yeah, it's so interesting how the movie changes fucking genre from horror to adventure. I should I'll probably talk about this more in Star Wars, but I am more of that camp of storytelling. I like the big giant canvas. Focusing on the small stuff doesn't focusing on the small stuff and just the pure thrill of stuff that doesn't really I'm not attuned to that as much as Star Wars. It's interesting because I think most people prefer Jaws and that kind of storytelling. But I guess the argument is you need both. Again, Star Wars spreads mythology that disappeared with religion in a way, at least in Western culture.
Inside the cage. Cage goes in the water. You go in the water. Sharks. Our shark. Farewell to you, fair Spanish lady.
That's like burned in my brain for some reason. I don't know. I did watch this as a kid. So, and I think on that podcast, it's like this is one again. All Wizard of Oz. This is the oldest movie I think people will watch just to watch. Like no one's really turning on, to my knowledge, Hitchcock just to watch it. Especially if you're a teenager, a kid, or the parents. It's family movie night. You're not putting on Hitchcock. Yeah, I'm trying to crack the whole thriller horror thing. The past, well, at least lately.
Don't use the fireplace again because I think it's the fluids. Oh, nonsense.
Yeah, so the shark is like the outlaw of the town. He's fucking wrecking havoc, and now our sheriff's got to go face him. Yeah, that's how I see it. It's a western to me. It's not a thriller. There's too much power these characters have. There's a thriller. Like if you look like the game, just an average Fincher thriller, or even like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo or Gone Girl. There's so much more uncertainty there. The characters are so not empowered. I don't remember if I talked about it before earlier. Finch has been trying to get a blockbuster project made for years. We just can't. They all kind of fall apart for better not for better work. They just fall apart. I love how the score totally changes too, from just total menace to adventure shit. This is a beautiful score at this moment. Right when they're out on the water for the first time. It's funny that I because I was watching a bit of this before the shark move. You got to get a bigger boat. Moment comes way earlier than I thought it did.
Stick 2 barrels in it, to wear him down and bring him up. Nowadays, these kids, they take out everything. Radar, sonar, electric. Hey, let's drop another chum marker.
These characters have an amazing chemistry. That I can say from a screenwriting perspective. Yeah, I don't I don't see this movie usually topping because I know the list that top like the best screenplays ever. Like you'll see Casablanca, Godfather, Annie Hall. This is not that kind of movie. This is directing to stand out here.
What the hell kind of a knot was that? You screw around these tanks and they're gonna blow up.
It's interesting too to see the Hitchcock influence in Taxi Driver comparing the two. Like it's like two different Hitchcocks. You know, I guess yeah, Vertigo. Yeah, look, Vertigo is kind of like Taxi Driver, but Rear Windows I see is very close to Jaws. I was actually watching the first part with Noah, like the first 8 minutes of Rear Window, and it's not just a drama, but it's literally I don't know. It's like it is technically drama, but it's like feel good. It's weird. It's like a marriage story in a way, not the movie marriage story, but literally just it's like a romance, which is interesting. Yeah, so Quint knows something's up. But yeah, the first 30 minutes of Rear Window is a romance before it kicks into the whole, murdery stuff. Which yeah, Fincher never did. He's never done. Well, I haven't seen it, but he did the Forrest Gumpy esque again, same screenwriter, Benjamin Button. That's probably the most heartwarming movie he's ever done. Everything else is all cold menace and the occasional biopic, which I still haven't seen, man. So yeah, guys, I'd love to recreate this movie. Like, how the fuck do I do it? Like, would it be animated? I don't know. I kind of, yeah, I don't think we can do another story like this in the real world. I think I have to make it some kind of fantasy. Like, I was looking at the history of like the Philippines to pull some from there. Um, like just a plot idea or setting idea or something like that. Again, it's a group of people against a monster, especially a small group of people against a monster, and they win. That's God. So I was kind of looking there. Uh, like I guess the images in my mind was an island setting, small settlement of people, and there's a fucking monster. Which, funny enough, is also what Lost is. Weirdly enough, at least in partly. Like it's a very primal thing. So I don't know. It's kind of I know Prey did that, the Predator movie, but I think like, there isn't many. I guess Legend of Zelda a little bit maybe, but there's not many primal fantasies like just literally people living in huts and they're fighting a monster. That's kind of cool. And there's another idea which is just pure Western action thing. Uh, literally just what was it? There's a town under a crime lord. They free themselves. It's in like the West. Very, there's more to it, but it's basically a small rebellion story of sorts. Maybe I'll pitch it later in the next commentary because I got to stop this in 8 minutes. I'm recording this at 3:34 in the morning.
Wire showing. Get the other side. Grab the leader, Hooper. Hooper. This side.
Yeah, this part I was watching a few weeks back just to watch it.
Well, a stingray, but it's definitely a game trick. No. We say, Marlon, stingray, been through this piano wire. Then you tell me my business again. You get back on the bridge. That doesn't prove a damn thing. Well, it proves one thing, Mr. Hooper. It proves that you wealthy college boys don't have the education enough to admit when you're wrong. The points, books, and lines. Well, you lose one, you leave one.
I like such an ugly man. I really like that.
Now, full throttle. See what I do, Chief, is I trick him to the surface. And I jab at him. I'm not gonna haul him up like a lot of catfish. Go back! Full throttle! We'll have to take this abuse much longer. Hey, your head's bleeding.
This Moby Dick connection is intentional. And I guess in a way, this could be read as like a post World War II Moby Dick, if you will. Though I don't know enough about any political themes inherent in Moby Dick to comment on that. But I don't know, there's some primal about this, especially the class differences. Wealthy college kid, old dude, working class, and the sheriff, middle class. Yeah, so upper middle class, working class, and middle class. All three classes.
Stop playing with yourself, Hooper. Slow ahead, if you please. You heard him. Slow ahead.
Yeah, I guess again the message of the movie is if the institutions don't do it, you got to do it yourself. Which is kind of I don't know. It's so broad. You can read it 1,000 different ways. You can read it in a liberal way, conservative way, progressive way. Anytime there's an establishment that doesn't care about you, could read this movie and know it. I gotta want to get political. Yeah, here's the big line. Yeah, I need a bigger vote.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
In fact, I wonder I made it too loud.
Shut off that engine. Five. 8 tons on. Need a bigger boat, right? Gotta get it work. How do we have this? How do we have this? All for more than I need.
I love this Williams score here. I think I mentioned before I did see T in theaters, but not this. They were showing both again, but I didn't get a chance to see this one. This is a cool comedy beat. That's like, and this whole vibe is what Marvel is, right? This exact vibe. There's a problem. We're gonna do it together as a team to fix it. That's Marvel. That's all the blockbusters. It's like it's very we're gonna on a mission. We're gonna get it done. And it's not a thriller. It is. It can be an action movie, but and when I think action movies, I think they're more contained. They are closer to thrillers than adventure. It was closer to Death Star score. This is it. It's not a fucking horror movie. Not a fucking horror. They're gonna be right out of a Pixar movie. This moment, that like scene.
What do we do now? We win, right? We've got one barrel on him, so we stay out here till we find him again. Yeah, but we could radio in and get a bigger boat.
Yeah, the bigger boat. Here's a famous Indianapolis scene. Amazing scene, I gotta say.
Very much.
Again, this is again could be the last episode time I record this, but I'm picking up where I left off, and this should do it for Jaws. I'm at the Indianapolis scene, which I loved as a kid, and apparently a lot of people love. So, and again in a really pop thriller action horror thing, this is it's a very character based scene, and the whole movie is very character based. Like I think I might have mentioned this last time, but Rear Window actually works the same way, which surprised me. It's not David Finchery horrible at all. It's actually pretty there's a lightness and there's a warmth to it that's interesting that Jaws has as well. That again, Fincher does not have. You know, nor does Halloween or Exorcist. So again, some I think it's been interesting. I guess because I've been doing these, not I haven't been doing it in one go. I actually get a lot of time to think about the movie in between recording. And
That's the thresh. See that? Thresh is pale.
it's just it's interesting how Jaws compares to all different other kinds of genre movies, whether it's like an action or thrillers or horror. And like considering the influence of Jaws, especially on movies you don't think of that were influenced by it, like horror, like David Fincher. He loves this movie, and it's like I don't know, like it's interesting to compare Jaws to Halloween and like more modern horror, like The Conjuring, for example, and like it's not as horrific, and there's a warmth that horror usually lacks. That's interesting.
Don't tell me.
Like it's this weird mix of like a horror and adventure story. I don't know. It's just weird.
What if that's the US.
Yeah, great reveal. Like, this is almost like a play. And yeah, I remember as a kid that the History Channel showed a thing in the Indianapolis. So I already knew what it was when I watched the movie.
Going back. The island.
Yeah, again, it's great character stuff. Again, Stephen King works the same way. He's like he writes great drama along with fun genre horror stuff. The genre is a funny word, by the way. I didn't encounter that word until college. And it's a word like you'll never see a normal person ever say. So it's kind of funny that way. Like you'll never hear your mom say, "Oh, it's a great genre movie," or like one of your bros, quote unquote, say, "Yeah, it's great. It's great genre stuff. It's a great, it's a great genre movie." So this is like the end of Act Two, then I think. Yeah, but I think yeah, that is Act Two. It's clearly that actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you're in the screenplay structure, Act Two is a sad ending. It's dark. It's over. It's it's bad stuff has happened. Yeah, excellent monologue. Interesting that so Spielberg just switched to two shot.
Lost 100 men.
Like he was doing a medium two shot and then he switched to a different kind of medium two shot.
Average 6 an hour. Thursday.
I don't know. I find that. I mean, I guess because it's a Spielberg movie, the script is less interesting than the actual directing, so that makes sense. Because you have I've seen you have what's his name? Well, Hopper, get the actor's name, but you have him on the right, out of focus but still in frame, which is really good. And again, comparing him to Ford, again, there's a lot more close-ups, medium close-ups than Ford ever used. He rarely ever went to the close-up. What's funny too is for starting the whole blockbuster thing, Jaws was nominated for Best Picture, and so was Star Wars. So it's like I can't imagine again The Conjuring or Marvel getting Marvel got nominated once, but you know, you get my point. It's like the blockbusters that spring from Jaws and Star Wars, like everyone get nominated. I mean, some like Pixar sometimes gets nominated. I think they got nominated for Up, so that's interesting. But like Mission Impossible is a no. That is a no. Yeah, I know because of the subject matter. It is a good drama technically. It's not that I don't know. It can operate as a genre too, as a maybe just a pure drama too, even with the killer shark. There was a review I read that was comparing Godfather and Jaws and how this movie is closer to it is closer to Godfather than Star Wars. Especially with I don't know, it's there's a social commentary again, the Nixon Watergate commentary. So I'll get into later maybe if I don't think I did already actually. I might have the institutional thing.
Everybody else. Nice. Terrific. Excuse me.
The shooting star. Hmm. It's funny too. How was watching The Godfather earlier. It's funny how the fade went away. That's interesting. They used to do that way more.
It'll only go about scored from that soul. What do you say, Jim? The barrel is up, it's right to stern. Digby's right under the keg. Grab the boat. Get close enough.
Yeah, like I said before, it's just I'm a big fan of premise. I guess that's why I keep going back to it. But there's some so raw, but it's just a fucking shark. It's not silly like a Pixar movie or a horror movie. It's a fucking shark. It's just I don't know. Just shows you the power of premise and how a great premise can hit all these different notes that resonate with people. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's high concept movie making where it's like, yeah, yeah, like a great premise. It's like that can be a movie. It's how I put it. I don't know. Premise is important,
I'm gonna make a phone call.
and a lot, you know, even just a premise, the way how do you put it? A great premise can get people sucked in really easily. It's inherently a good premise. So I usually avoid doing that. I don't know, like I don't know. I guess I find character and setting and theme more interesting than premise, but Jaws is a great premise.
Oh, boys. I think he's come back for his noon feeding. Hook me up another barrel.
Yeah, this is fun. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's hard to comment on the script because it's just so filmmaker driven. I mean, it's a good story, but it really does sing because of the fucking Spielberg stuff. It's really fucking impressive, I gotta say. Again, Noah has not seen this movie. It's kind of like not seeing. It's not like it's like not hearing anything of Mozart ever written. It's very weird. It's that level of good. Like again, these action adventure scenes, that is a lot of Hollywood. Like a specific kind of Hollywood. That's interesting. Like it's just the feel, like you just know the feel. It's hard to describe. But it's that sense of fun adventure.
They're up again. You know what? Well, why don't we start leading the shark into shore instead of him leading us out to sea? Have a couple of balls. Hey! But all right, gentlemen, snag him. Now then, time for the stern clean.
Okay, so it's a little break in the action. I guess this is good because it is generating this constant conflict of like how to fight the sharks. That's what's driving the story forward. That is interesting. And that is screenwriting. Making sure there's always conflict on the screen. I guess yeah, because of the whole three guys in a boat thing, there is something almost like a play about it. That's interesting. Incredibly contained stuff. Which it Hollywood and popular at the moment. Well, it's in screenwriting circles because that if you write a contained thing, that's how you can get a movie made. Apparently, I actually hate. I mean, I'm not a. I don't know. My brain can't think like that. Like super contained stuff. I can't. You know, like a whole movie taking place in a house, and that's it. My brain doesn't think like that. I need some sense of scale. Otherwise, I can't do it.
You put on the transom.
Yeah. So the goal is, they're trying to every scene they're trying to kill the shark. It's well, it does change. What's the goal of this scene? They had to cut the thing. They had to cut the barrels. So that's all right, and they did that. Goal accomplished. Again, screenwriting is every scene has like a goal and a one, opposition, that kind of thing. Every scene.
That was 3 barrels. About us. Luca, get the plumb out of the locker in front of you, will you? We're gonna sink, aren't we? Luca, keep an eye on the barrels. Pump it out, Chief.
So now the ship's going under, so that's conflict. Hmm. No, I had the thought of I just realized I could have split the whole thing into acts. Maybe I could do that another time. It's too busy right now. I guess I do want to actually watch the fucking movie. That's true.
Whoever had
Because I otherwise have to open up Word and the synopsis, Wikipedia, and structure it and stuff. Yeah, even they're just cutting around the shit. It's just fucking. I don't know. It's like supernaturally talented shit. That's not me. I know that for damn sure.
face in us. I don't believe it. Throw him into the shallows. Throw him in shallow water. Gonna throw him in and drown him. We're heading in, Brody. Thank Christ. Never had a great life. No.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like it's. I guess there is something vaguely supernatural about this fucking shark. It's an anomaly in Hooper's it's his science. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna call it. It's an adventure movie. This is not a horror movie. It's not horrifying at all. It's like adventure on the high seas shit. Too dramatic, not enough horror, not enough gore, not enough thrill. Sorry, I'm calling it. It's a horror. It's an adventure story. I don't know. Some people say, "Oh, this thing doesn't matter." It matters. You're trying to replicate it. It totally matters. What the genre is. It has horror. It has horror elements. You could certainly lift parts of it to make a horror movie, but the movie itself is not horror. Mm. Oh, man. This is a nice little break. I guess the ship is sinking. They're putting on life vests. He doesn't get one now because he's gonna die.
What exactly can you do with these things you use? Well, I think I can pump 20 cc's of strychnine nitrogen when I can get close. Get this little needle through his skin. No, I can't do that. If I can get him close enough to this cage, I think I can get him in the mouth. Shark in that cage. You got any better suggestions?
All right, so now they come up with another plan. This is a great scene. Hmm. I remember this scene as a kid. And he goes into the water and tries to fucking poke with the thing. Yeah, I guess if I technically can break it down, what I think I said it before, but I'll break down. I've done this with Looper and Manchester by the Sea. Take each scene and describe it in a sentence, and you can really see the architecture of the movie that way. Like the goals of it, what drives it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I guess I could do a separate video on that. That actually might be pretty cool. It's like an addendum, 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 addendum,
Addendum.
and it's also a movie apparently. It's like, yeah, I know that movie. It's this fucking Zeitgeist conspiracy theory movie. Good stuff, but anyway. That theme doesn't play that often in the movie, so that's good. It's not overused. Yeah, yeah, it's a good theme. That shark looks fucking real, I gotta say. I just found the Duncan Jones saying, "What if we made the shark more realistic?" Which Reddit did not like. The internet did not like. I mean, I don't know. It's not a big deal, but I did notice the shark looks pretty real. Well, yeah, it looks real enough where it's like you buy it. That's for sure. I buy it completely. But I don't know. I've never seen a shark, so I can't. I don't know. Like most people haven't really think about it. I should mention, I'm gonna even you're listening, anyone's listening. I'm gonna put out what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start putting out the wild. If I do even 25-minute sessions, I think I'll just release it like that for future movies. Makes it easy to just do. Okay. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's kind of hard to do a 2-hour video every week for one reason or another. Or I guess I find it hard. Okay, both really sinking now. Kind of funny how the sinking reminds me of Titanic. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I guess if you're gonna generate a constant conflict, there's A lot of it with this fucking scenario, that's for sure. And now Quint gets his legs just fucked up. Here we are, fucked up. Yep, that's fucked up. Oh, oh man. I think this is PG. Oh, oh boy, that's fucked up. I've seen this recommended for kids, but damn. I mean, that's a great discussion. How much of this shit's kid friendly? You know, how violent can a kids movie be? This is the fucking. I love the fucking thing. Here we go. Kind of a cool hero moment because it's just him now. Gotta fucking kill this thing. Here we go. So here's a weird Mandela effect. I don't see ways to explain what it is, but where you misremember something. I thought the scene took place in the cabin, not in the outside. I love this moment as a kid. Ah, I fucking love that I did love that as a kid. Dogs was never my favorite movie as a kid. I didn't love it like love Star Wars or Spider Man or Batman, but that's a fucking movie. Yeah, it's fucking cool. And Hopper's still alive, and I like to get to swim back. Yeah, that's a cool little moment.
What day is this? It's Wednesday. It's Tuesday, I think. The tide's with us.
See what's funny?
Used to hate the water.
They're far, far away, but because they survived this adversity, it's like you know they're gonna make it back. That's really cool. See, you don't feel like this in of a horror movie, man. Like that level of fucking triumph and warmth. You just don't. It's not a fucking horror movie. It's not. Stop saying it is. It's not. We should smack anyone who says it's a horror movie. It's not a horror movie. I say we kill them. Do it. Murder. Murdery murder. Death. Really? Oh, I see. There is some use of real shark footage. That's interesting. Funny too, in older movies, the credits are always way shorter. I guess 'cause usually the credits would be at the beginning of the movie, and then the last thing is like the end screen and the end, and then off you go. Oh, you see they make it back. That's cool. That's how it ends. Yeah, what a fucking movie. Well, that's Jaws. Thanks for tuning in. I like that they show everything at the end. That's really cool. Thanks for tuning in. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye. And that's it for Batman Begins. That's it. I'm recording this way fucking later than I recorded. What you just heard was recorded way earlier, months ago. But I'm here now, and the video is finally out, and that's cool. Here's Flying Lotus. I'm using all the same music now for all the videos I put out. No more switching music, same music, like we did with A-Side Podcast. It's symmetry, very cool. Unity, continuity, all great stuff. That's it.